In this case, I'm going to select the 2nd Street corridor. Now, I can select the surface to daylight to. So here I want to select my existing ground surface. And the next thing here is select an assembly set to import. Now, as we create these intersections, we can go in, and if we're using certain assemblies quite often, we can create the assembly set and save that out to a specified location and use it for every intersection we do. In this case, I'm using the Autodesk metric assembly set XML. It's just an XML file of those particular assemblies, and it tells us which assembly is being applied to what location in the chart. So if we click on it, we can see the curb return with fillets. We see a graphic of the assembly itself, and we also see where it's applied in the intersection. The same thing occurs if I click on the rest of the assemblies that are shown in the dialog box. So once we've made those selections, we click create our intersection, and the software goes through and creates the intersection for us. And there we have our intersection. Now if I click on the intersection, you'll notice that corridor 2, or my 2nd Street corridor here, highlights the whole corridor model, but we have these gaps that we need to fill in. I can fill in the gaps by clicking on the grip, the diamond shaped grip, and I can just drag that down to the grip below it. Then I'll need to come over to the Prospector tab, expand the node for corridors, and I want to right click and rebuild my 2nd Street corridor. When I rebuild that corridor, you can see that the intersection is stretched, and now we have that side of the intersection tied in. Looks like I got a little overlap there maybe, but I think it'll be okay. Now, the neat thing, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but when I clicked on the intersection, what happened to our ribbon? We get a contextual ribbon that shows up for the corridor, but in this case, since we're doing an intersection that's a piece of the corridor also, we get an intersection ribbon, so we can go up and click on the different tabs and see different edits or different commands that we can use to modify that particular item. So in this case, it's the intersection. So we've created the intersection. Now I need to come back in and tie in this side of our intersection. So I'm going to go over to my 2nd Street corridor. I'm going to right click and go to Properties. And under Parameters, you'll notice that now we're starting to see different naming conventions. Here we have RG, secondary road, full section. So we've got a region. Here's BL, 2nd Street, 1st Street, Northeast Quadrant 1. So we've got a new baseline. So these are all settings that we can establish as we're creating the different areas in the intersection or in the corridor model. So here I want to right click on that first region under 2nd Street, and I want to insert a region before. So I click on insert a region before. I'm going to leave the region name as it is, and for this I need to select secondary road full section as my assembly. So I click OK. Notice where that assembly starts. I need to come over here and I want that thing to go to, say, 0 plus 0, 2, 0, 0.00 meters. So we'll make that change. Then we're going to come over to our target, and we're going to click here to set all to set our target for existing ground. We'll click OK. We'll click OK to apply that. And now you can see that the rest of our surface is, our corridor model is tied in together and tied into the intersection. Now, while we're here, one more thing I want to show you. This is new in 2010. If I click on the corridor again and I go to the properties of that corridor, if I come over to the boundaries tab, let me create a surface first just so we have one to look at. So now I come over to the boundaries tab and I have my second street boundary. I can right click and now I have corridor extents as an outer boundary. So instead of having to go in on these intricate corridors that we've created in the past and having to pick the points from the add interactively command, now we have corridor extents as an outer boundary, and we just click on that button and it looks at the extents of the corridor and creates our boundary for us. So that's something new and maybe very useful in the future. Okay, so that's intersection design. Now let's go over, and we're back over on the Prospector tab, and I want to open up a new drawing here, and this is going to be my Create Parcels drawing. So previously I went in, set up, created a parcel. Here it is. It's 27.5 acres or so, and I want to create an alignment. So to do that, I go back to the Home tab. I come under under the Create Design panel. There's my alignment command. Open it up and I go to Alignment Creation Tools. So under Alignment Creation Tools, we'll just call this First Street. It's going to be a center line, and we want to make sure that it is on our proposed style. We're going to change the site to proposed, and we'll click OK. Now we get our layout tools. We'll check our curve and spiral settings. That looks okay for this instance. So we'll create our alignment using the tangent with curves. And I'm going to specify the start point by typing in a coordinate. So let me type that in right quick. Okay, there's our coordinate. So I'll hit enter, and you notice I get the widget attached to my cursor, and now I'm ready to draw in the rest of the alignment. I'm going to type in 'BD so I can enter these in by bearing and distance, and the first bearing is going to be in the first quadrant, so it's a northeast bearing. I'll type in 1, hit enter. I'm going to type in the bearing. That's 88.3955. Hit enter, type in the distance, 1152.76. So I set that PI. Now I want to go to quadrant 2. The bearing is going to be 1 degree, 20 minutes, and 0.5 seconds. And our distance, 450.27. And then we'll come back and go to quadrant 3, and again we'll go 88.3955, and our distance here will be 1156.27. So we'll hit enter twice to end our command. You'll see that our alignment is automatically labeled for us, and you'll see now that we have 2 parcels that are left. Now we need to create the right-of-way. To create the right-of-way, I need to go to the Create Design tab panel in the ribbon, and I want to expand the parcel drop down and select Create Right-of-Way. When I click Create Right-of-Way, it asks me to select the parcels, so I need to select the label for each parcel, hit enter. It asks me what the offset from the alignment is going to be. We'll have 25 feet. So we have a total of 50 foot right away.